Hello everybody, welcome back to CNS Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully informative and useful Corvette stuff. Before we get into today's topic, which is going to be a fun one, check this out. Hey guys, we got a new car that's up for the sweepstakes this week. This sweepstakes ends December 22nd. Drawing is on December 28th of 2024. But look at this car. This is a 2024 Z06 convertible with the Z07 performance package, plus $25,000 for taxes and whatnot. Now, when you buy sweepstakes entries through us, if you buy $25 worth of tickets, you get 18 tickets plus 9 promos. If you buy $50 worth of tickets, you get 40 tickets plus 20 extra. So it's an extra 50% entries anytime you go through our site. This is benefiting the Auburn Duesenberg Automobile Museum, which is a fantastic place. All you have to do is click on whatever dollar amount you want, and there's our code right there. And just fill out your information and it'll get you all handled. Good luck, guys. If you win it, I sure hope you give me a ride. Okay, let's get today's trivia question out of the way. And this one actually comes to me from Blake, my lead tech, and he brought it to my attention. I wasn't even aware of it, but I'm going to get you guys on it today, and you're going to know more at the end of the video. In what production year did GM offer the most versions of the Corvette? Most separate versions or trim packages or whatever that had a name and were special. What year offered the most versions of the Corvette? Answer at the end of the video. Now, today we are going to talk about something that was actually recommended by one of our viewers, and it is something that I truly enjoy doing some research on. I'm not going to spend a half hour on it, although I easily could. Today we're going to talk about the very special period of time in the late 80s where we had something in existence called the Corvette Challenge. Yep, it was a spec racing series that were showroom stock Corvettes, only Corvettes, and they were put out there to race before IndyCar and IMSA events. But let's rewind a little bit. Let me get into why that entire thing existed, okay? So, imagine way back to the dewy slopes of the mid to late 80s, and you've got SCCA club racing going on, and that's like, without being professional, that's the highest level of racing you could do in America. So you've got all these guys in different categories of racing, this, that. The Corvette competed in what was called showroom stock. Showroom stock meant literally that. Other than having a roll cage and fire suppression equipment and the right safety belts and the safety equipment, the engine was stock, the transmission was stock, on and on and on and on. Well, when Corvette started racing in 1985, 86, and 87, they won literally every race they entered. I'm not talking like some of the time, I'm talking all of the time. In fact, it was Riverside, California in 87. 9 of the top 10 cars in the final race of the year were Corvettes. A Porsche 944 squeaked it into 9th because the 10th Corvette had a mechanical problem. That's how dominant they were. Well, the problem with that for SCCA was that all of the other competitors were like, why do we even bother showing up? We're not going to win. We're going to get our butts whipped. So all of the drivers and the manufacturers supporting those drivers who were driving Lotuses and Porsches and other cars of that ilk said, listen, SCCA, unless you take these guys and get rid of them, we aren't going to pay to show up to race because it's pointless. So the SCCA said, you know what, you got a point there. So for 1988 season, they made the Corvette illegal for showroom stock racing. Couldn't compete. So you're punished for being too good. That sounds American, doesn't it? Anyway, this gave one particular guy named John Powell from Canada an idea. Now, John Powell was a Canadian racer. He owned a competition driving school and a go-kart track, and he trained a lot of the up-and-coming drivers in Canada at that time, and he had a brainwave. He said, you know what we need to do? We need to do a Corvette-only racing series. We can call it the Corvette Challenge. That's what we can call it. Now, John knew a lot of people in the automotive business. So what he did was he contacted people at GM, at Goodyear, at ExxonMobil, and got everybody to kind of agree that, hey, this would kind of be a cool thing to do. And they also all agreed to participate financially, which in racing is absolutely the most important thing. So John, with help from the manufacturers and the sponsors, put together what would become known as the Corvette Challenge, debuting in 1988. Here's some of the highlights of this. A spec racing series means that all the cars are produced identically. So really it should be a showcase of driver skill, not of engineering prowess or some guy has 40 more horses. It's an even playing field, so they all go out and race each other based on skill alone, in theory. The thing that really got this league a lot of attention was that they had the unheard of at the time end purse. So if you won the entire Corvette Challenge for 1988, there was a $1 million reward. That's in 1988 dollars, guys. So clearly this ginned up a lot of interest. Once Goodyear and Exxon were brought on board, GM just stepped up and said, okay, yeah, we'll build you these cars, but we need a minimum of 50 built. Okay, so, all right, what are we gonna do? Well, thankfully, Malcolm Connor Chevrolet, which was the largest volume Corvette dealer in the world at that time, stepped up and placed the order for 50 of these cars. And they actually made 56 in 1988, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Malcolm Connor placed the order, GM made these cars, and they were all identical, and they got shipped off to Protofab company in Wixom, New Jersey for race prep, which included having the roll cage put in, the fire suppression system, a racing seat belts, Bilstein shocks, special wheels that could stand up to the pounding they were going to take, brake ducts, stuff to make the cars safe and to make them stay cool and be able to finish a race. Now in 1988, those cars cost, or end of 87, those cars cost $33,043, and the race prep cost an additional $15,000, which doesn't sound like a lot of money right now if you look at doing racing today, but it was a lot of money back then. So a total of 56 cars were built in 1988, and 50 were fully converted for competition. In 1989, a total of 60 cars were built, but only 29 ended up being fully converted for competition. Some of the drivers in this series were really interesting characters. Some of the names you're going to recognize. One of them is, Bruce Jenner was one of the race car drivers in the first year of the Corvette series. You also had a guy named Bobby Carradine. He was a very, very talented racing driver, but he was also a Hollywood actor, and you probably remember him more like this from Revenge of the Nerds. You had racing names that we all know, like Jeff Andretti, Boris Said, Juan Manuel Fangio II, the nephew of the famous F1 driver, was one of the Corvette pilots, and most notably a guy named Andy Pilgrim. Now, he was very successful in the Corvette Challenge, and the GM brass liked him, and he worked well with their team. So when it came time to pick people to be the testers and the drivers of the new C5R program 10 years later, they thought of Andy Pilgrim, and he got brought on board, and he became one of the pilots of the legendary C5R. Now, these challenge races usually lasted less than an hour. The support races were run before IndyCar and IMSA events, but they were known for being wild and very contact heavy. Translation, they were a lot of fun to watch. Now, because of copyright stuff, I can't go on YouTube and pull off other people's videos to show you videos of a challenge race, but I'm telling you, if you have 20, 30 minutes to watch a highlight reel, go on YouTube, look up Corvette Challenge races. The stuff these guys were doing, the way they were knocking each other off the track is unbelievable. It's like NASCAR on steroids. So this all went on from 1988 and 1989, super popular. It was carried on Speed Vision, on cable TV, and everybody loved it. Now, SCCA looked at this and said, wow, these guys are really popular. They got good sponsors. They're making a lot of money. You know what? The competition is caught up at this point engineering-wise. We need to bring the Corvettes back into the fold because that'll make it fair. And sure enough, in 1990, they were allowed back into SCCA competition, ending the highly successful and visible series. So that was the history in brief of the Corvette Challenge. Now, there are still a bunch of Corvette Challenge cars out there because they were instant collector's items. I know there's one at Mid-America Motor Works. I know there's a gentleman, at least one gentleman here in Florida has one, and they are just such neat pieces of history, and they are truly cool cars. If you know somebody who's got one, or if you were at a Corvette Challenge race back in the 80s, comment below and tell me all about it. Here's my question to you though, and this is what I really want to hear your opinion on. With the advent of the new C8, okay, it's been in production 5 years now. You've got all these companies like Porsche Cup, you've got the Ferrari Challenge, you've got Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Hell, even Ford is doing the Dark Horse Challenge now with a spec'd out Ford GT, Dark Horse GT. Wouldn't it make sense, or wouldn't you love to see GM step forward and say, you know what, we're going to do our own Corvette Challenge, revive the Corvette Challenge, build 50 C8s that are all identical and that are, you know, strengthened and then sent off to be strengthened for racing, and do that. I think everybody would love to see that because they're awesome cars. The performance is out of this world. I guess the real question to GM is, are the mechanicals going to hold up to actual hardcore racing? I don't know, but I would sure love to see a series like that. If you think that's a good idea, tell me about it below. Okay, oh, wait, it's time for trivia answer. Let me, you know what, there's too much detail to this answer, so I'm gonna go to my secret cheat code. My Corvette Black Book, which by the way are back in stock now. So the answer to which year had the most versions of the Corvette offered, it was 2009, believe it or not. Now I'm gonna read you these because I can't remember them all. You had the base coupe, the base convertible, the Competition Sport Special Edition, the Competition Sport Special Edition Z06, the GT1 Championship Edition Coupe, the GT1 Championship Edition Convertible, the regular Z06, and the ZR1, for a grand total of 9 versions of the Corvette in 2009. Easy to remember. But that is, yeah, I didn't realize that until Blake brought it up to me. And it's all right here in the Black Book. So, very cool information. If you got that right, well done. Any questions, any comments, put them below. I look forward to talking to you again next week. Have a great weekend, guys. So Malcolm Connor Chevrolet in New Jersey stepped up to make the order. At the time, they were the largest Corvette volume dealer in the country. And what was that?